Hey everybody, it's Charlie from Moto, and we've been doing these fuel economy tests on motorcycles for a few years now. We've got a small collection of statistics from everything from big BMW twin boxer cruisers to little tiny dual sports and lightweight sport bikes such as this. But this one is probably the most interesting so far because this is, for what I understand, the first hybrid motorcycle, especially the first hybrid electric sports bike that has been on the market here ever in history. It's the 2025 Kawasaki Ninja 7 hybrid electric vehicle. 7 hybrid. I guess, what is the official name? Ninja 7 hybrid, I think, is what they're officially calling it. This is a 451cc parallel twin internal combustion motor right out of the Ninja 500, paired up with a battery and an electric motor, giving you the grunt of a more powerful bike, but also the efficiency and, more importantly, the zero emissions aspect of an electric bike at certain speeds. So today we're going to run our standard DM Commuter fuel economy test. I'm going to go out and do roughly 41 miles of mixed riding. We're going to do some city, some 55-mile-an-hour road, some highway, some spirited riding, some calm, and come back, fill it back up, and see what sort of fuel economy numbers we have achieved. Now, I went back and checked the Ninja 500, got 58 miles per gallon on our similar test. It wasn't the exact same route, but very close. So I'm expecting this to do quite well. And there's also a lot to talk about the bike. So if you've seen some of our previous fuel economy tests, I just do a time lapse through the middle, but this one I'm actually going to be stopping throughout the test and talking to you on it because a lot of people have requested that. So if you do want to see more on the Ninja 7 Hybrid, check the link below. I'm going to have a full review, and then there's our no talking review as well. But some things you should know for today: outside temperatures about 70 degrees Fahrenheit. We're right at about sea level. Our tire pressures have been set to their placard, 32 PSI front, 36 PSI rear. And I'm going to be riding as though one might be commuting on this bike. So it's going to be fairly calm. I'm going to be trying to stay within about 5 miles per hour of the posted speed limits. It's not going to be any sort of crazy riding. A lot to know about the Ninja 7, as I'll pretty much just be referring to it as here. One thing to know is that there is no clutch and no shifter by your foot. It's all done with these little buttons. We're going to talk about that a little bit. You can ride it in full electric mode, and you can also ride it in full automatic mode, but not in sport. So I'm going to start right now with the engine on in sport mode, because I want the engine to warm up a little bit before we get to the fueling station. So you can see you come up to a stop and the bike takes care of clutching for you. Right there, stopped. Roll onto the throttle and it lets the clutch out. It's not as smooth as the e-clutch from Honda. In fact, really ought to have gotten this bike at the same time we had that CBR 650R. So then if you want to be all stealthy when you come in here, you go hold this button down, and now we are electric. So unfortunately, 91 octane or higher recommended or required for this bike. I don't think that's the case with the Ninja 500. We are topped off, and before we get rolling out, I'm going to use the TFT display here to reset our trip computer. Okay, we got trip A reset, we got fuel economy average reset, eco ride mode. I believe we are ready to ride. And then I'm going to shift into sport, sport ride mode, and then first gear. There are a few different ways I could do this test because this bike has both eco and sport ride modes and then automatic and manual shifting. However, it's not incredibly intuitive as to which shifting modes you're allowed to do in which ride modes. For example, you cannot ride this bike in automatic in sport mode. You have to be in manual. Which I kind of get their logic that they're like, all right, well, if you were on a sport bike, a standard Ninja 500 or something, you'd be full manual all the time, so what's the big deal? But it's because it's just these little finger shifters, it's not as satisfying or as intuitive necessarily to shift as a standard manual bike. Therefore, if you do want the bike to shift for you, automatic style, you have to be in eco mode. However, in eco mode, in manual, the shifting is way too aggressive. It upshifts almost immediately into 6th gear. And the problem is when you twist the accelerator, it doesn't downshift quickly enough, or really, not quickly enough at all, not nearly aggressively enough to be fast. I mean, it's very slow. We'll see that later on in the ride here. So therefore, I'm gonna split the ride up into about half sport mode and then half eco mode with automatic shifting. I kind of want to make it such that if you were really riding this bike into work, how would you ride it? On these type of roads, I probably want to be in sport mode, get down to something like 4, open it up a little bit around these corners. And then when I get up into the more mundane city sections, I'll switch into eco and automatic, and we'll let the bike theoretically save some fuel. Here's a little example of how you might want to use the EV functionality on the Ninja 7 coming into Laguna Beach here, and they are notorious for not exactly being kind to motorcyclists. So we are going to hold this, and now we are in EV mode. Automatic only, and away we go. Not exactly a speed demon in automatic mode, but we've got 8 miles of EV range, so that should get us through this section of Laguna Beach no problem. It's peaceful. It's a peaceful way to ride by the beach or through the city. Now this will be interesting. How much power do we have? Is it enough to get up this steep hill on 3rd Street in Laguna Beach? Okay. I kind of would have rather stayed in first there, bike, but second is all right. Made it. And then, of course, when you're ready to fire it up again, switch back into hybrid. And then up into sport. I really don't like how long it takes to switch modes. Button to really get the shove. I don't understand why e-boost doesn't just come on full when you give it full twist of the throttle, but if you press this button you get a lot more oomph and a lot more help from the hybrid battery. But it goes like full throttle immediately, practically. It's a very janky sort of feel. Now for the ride back down the mountain, I can't actually switch into EV mode yet because you have to be going under 16 miles per hour for that. So if you try holding, yeah, nothing happens. But what happens if I just keep holding until I get to 16? Will it automatically go? No. Let me see. Now press and hold. There we go. To me, this is one of the unfortunate realities of the way they've set up this Ninja 7 hybrid is you got to be going below 16 miles per hour to shift from electric back into gas as well. And if you're in a situation like this, you're driving through town, it's nice and smooth, and then the speed limit picks up, now it's 45, I'm fully pinned right now in EV mode, and I'm slowing down, 42, Oh, will I be able to keep 42? I don't know, but I need to speed up. And so I'm like, crap. All right, can we switch over? No, we can't. So now I actually have to come to a stop on the side of the road here. Slow down enough, hold it, switch over, and resume. Now I understand, again, that they're dealing with packaging considerations and tuning considerations, and there's a lot going on with the transmission and everything. But if you catch yourself in a situation, if you're riding along, everything's so smooth, you've been riding EV, it's nice, electric bike, and then you need to get going, you're kind of screwed. You gotta find a place to pull off and switch that over. It's not a very graceful or seamless execution. Now I suppose the argument is, okay, well, this is just for deliberate city-type situations in which you are going to be riding slower and you're going to be able to pull off and switch into gas before you leave. But why limit it to such a specific use case like that? Why not expand its usability and make it more graceful? Now the party piece of the Ninja 7 is to be able to press this e-boost button. There we have it flashing first gear sport mode, and then when I roll onto the accelerator, once we get this green light, it's gonna pull strong. I mean, it really does yank you. The combo of the internal combustion and the electric motor. I mean, that's a pretty quick real world 0 to 60 right there. And then it goes away until the next time you're in the proper configuration and you press that button again and you get this dramatic jolt. Let's do it one more time. And as soon as you roll off the accelerator, it disappears. Let's see, can I e-boost onto the highway safely? Roll in right there, go. Yeah, okay, all right. The 7 Hybrid seems to be geared lower than your standard Ninja 500. I'd have to compare, but here at about 70 miles per hour indicated, we're doing just a hair under 7,000 RPM. It's not too vibey. You feel it a little bit in the handlebars, but you do hear it as well. The Ninja 7, fine on the highway. It feels like a standard smaller Ninja. The seat isn't particularly comfortable or uncomfortable. A little bit of an aggressive forward riding position, partially just because the seat feels a little higher than the 650 and the 500. Maybe for battery under there or something. But other than that, you just got your standard narrow tank and a little bit of wind protection for your chest, so that's fine. We can see our battery charged all the way back up, cruising on the highway, so theoretically that actually took some of our fuel, took down our fuel economy a little bit. But again, the thought process with the Ninja 7 Hybrid is, okay, then you have that battery to use once you get, oh man, the surginess in the throttle. And the, that's the worst shifting I've ever experienced from an automatic motorcycle. Anyway, they're assuming that you're going to want to use that charge for being quiet around city areas. I get that. I understand their thought process. But man, the refinement just needs to be stepped up. Because there's a time and a place for automatic motorcycles. I owned a CTX 700 with the DCT. I've ridden Honda's new E-Clutch. BMW has an automatic coming out. I think Yamaha does as well, or maybe they already had one in other markets. So Kawasaki could have something here by making this an actual regularly usable and pleasant to ride automatic experience. But in its current form like this, it isn't the case. Right here, I'm full throttle. Ugh. And it just has this awful jerkiness. And I'm going to double check with Kawasaki, make sure it isn't a break-in situation, because this thing is hard shifting at 5,000 RPM in automatic mode. But here we are, back at the pump. So I'm going to top the tank off, see how much fuel we put in, and then get back to the house and crunch our final numbers. Back and all fueled up here on the Ninja 7 Hybrid. Like I said, is a fine commute. Kind of what you would expect from a Ninja. But, and we'll talk about this more in the full review, I would love to have a more refined automatic motorcycle experience, especially if I'm riding into the office or something. I'm riding this bike daily, I'm thinking about other things throughout my life, on my commute. I wouldn't mind having the bike shift for me, but still be a pleasant riding experience. It's too herky-jerky and it's too slow. It upshifts too quickly as it is in automatic mode. And I'd love to be able to leverage the EV more and then have a more graceful transition into ICE, into gasoline hybrid mode as I get going faster. But regarding fuel economy itself, we did a total of 42.9 miles on this route. Let's get our calculator out. 42.9 miles traveled divided by the 0.673 gallons. Okay, it is giving us a higher result than we got with the Ninja 500 and 650. We're going to give us, we'll do the round up, 64 miles per gallon here on the Ninja 7 Hybrid. 64 miles per gallon, not a bad figure. However, I will point out again that you do have to put 91 octane in here, so if you could get away with putting in 87 into a different bike, you'd still probably save money at the pump. We've got a 3.7 gallon fuel tank in here, so 3.7 gallons times 64 miles per gallon is giving you a reasonable fuel range of 230 miles here on the Kawasaki Ninja 7 Hybrid. So it's a cool bike, and I really appreciate that Kawasaki is pushing the envelope in technology and development with this. It just needs maybe another generation or a little bit of a refresh, a change in how the technology operates to really be a worthwhile bike as a commuter for me. So thank you all so much for watching. If you do want to see more on the Ninja 7, check the link below. We'll have our full review, go out and throw it around some twisties. The no talking ride on Winding Road as well. And we'll see you on the next one. I'm Charlie from Moto, and as always, ride on.